How's it going, everyone? Mike the War Host here with a new setup for 2020. Got a nice little backdrop here. You can actually see my face, since apparently somebody during the Golden Spur discussions had remarked that nobody knows what I look like. All of my videos are faceless. So this year, decided to try out a couple of new things. Well, here I am. This is me. This is what I look like. And with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and jump right into today's video, which is talking about one of the more popular posses for the Lawmen, and honestly, my personal favorite, the Infernal Investigations. This posse is going to be nearly an auto-include for any serious Lawmen player. Since nearly every single unit in this posse has either the Marshal or the Sheriff keyword, they can be dropped into practically any posse and really help spread the Tin Man love around. Blackhoof 2020 is also notable because he is an automaton and can be put into an armored justice list. Yes, Kitty, that's right. Anyway, if you're looking for a high caliber posse that can do really just about anything, then the Infernal Investigations is going to be something to look at. This posse is a primary posse, meaning that it will form the majority of your list, if not the entire list. That, lore-wise is technically the Union's response to all of the strange and otherworldly stuff that's going on in the American frontier. In a land filled with things that go bump in the night, the Infernal Investigations' job is to bump back. Right, the Posse box contents come out to a whopping 855 points and will leave only a single slot available for any unit with the agent keyword, which will give you quite a bit of expansion options, as we've covered in previous videos talking about agents. Yes, I know. Agents are very interesting. Again, they do a whole lot for a posse in a slot. Thank you for your insightful little tidbit there, Muffin. Alright. Posse bonus will give all units in the posse the prodigious rule, which will bump up their focus bonus from a +2 to a +3, which will make most of them go from good to great or scary to just downright terrifying. Since the unit selection for this posse is pretty straightforward, let's spend a bit of time talking about what you're going to get first before we look at an actual list. So Helena Miller is a whole lot of punch in a really tiny package. She has agile, moving target, and fight or flight, so she's got a lot of mobility and survivability options. Headhunter is definitely going to help her keep her fortune topped off to support everyone else in the posse. And a combination of Treasure Hunter and Tactical Brilliance will let you play some deck manipulation games. Her basic stat line isn't all that great, but that's because she's more of a support boss than an actual frontline brawler. The only exception to this, though, is if she goes up against anything with the machine or construct rules, because her Tesla Stormthrowers will just rip them apart. Yes, I know. Thank you for bringing up that very important point, Muffin. There is one thing you really do have to remember when it comes to Helena and Mercury Jones to a lesser extent. Do not, under any circumstances, send them out on their own without any support. It's really tempting. Yes, I know, I'm getting to that. It's really tempting to just have them skyleap or make a big flight move to go way behind the enemy lines and start shooting away. Which, again, is great if you're going up against, say, an Armored Justice list or an Enlightened list that has lots of constructs. But anything else, and all you're really going to do is put a great big bullseye right above Helena's head and a big neon sign that says, "Hey, here, free victory point. Do you got the kill a boss in a shoot action? Here you go. There, all yours." Jumping Helena or Mercury behind enemy lines without any support is basically just throwing them away. She's not Rambo. Don't treat her like one. Alright, going down the list. First up, we have Blackhoof 2020. He's going to be one of your more expensive options, coming in at 145 points. But he's going to bring a lot of tools and can take a lot of punishment. He comes with tough and durable and hardy, so he's going to be able to take a lot of hits before he finally gets off the board. Most importantly, though, is the fact that he brings a long-range shot with piercing -4 in case you want to knock some really big holes into people. He's going to require a bit more positioning and thought than most of the others because he will not be able to provide any Tin Man buffs to anyone. So in your little Tin Man conga line there, Blackhoof is going to have to be at one end or the other. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're deploying him and when you're moving him up the board. All right, next up we have Ida Saxon. If you really want to reach out and touch someone, she's going to be the best person to do it with. Her Eagle Claw rifle has shred and linked with lethal on a crit and a piercing of -3. So whatever she wants to hit, she's going to hit. She's also not going to suffer any long-range penalties for shooting over 12 inches, and she can force enemy models with the human keyword to re-roll any successful grit checks they need to make. And if that weren't enough, Spirit Aim will let her ignore pesky re-rolls to hit from things like Shrouded and Moving Target. Ida and Blackhoof are going to be your only sources of long-range fire, so you want to make sure you keep them as safe as you can while they're on the board. It'll be a bit easier for Ida because she has Undercover, which is going to make it really hard for your opponent to keep his really important stuff out of her sight, out of her line of sight. All right, going down the list, we come to Mercury Jones. We've talked about her a little bit and what not to do with her. So let's go ahead and talk about what you actually can do. She's going to be a flanker and a harasser more than anything else. She has a quickness of 7 and Sky Leap, so she's going to be able to move across the board pretty quick. She also comes with smoke grenades, so she can block off some important choke points to help keep everyone else alive. Counterintelligence will give you the opportunity to redeploy one of your units once everything else is set up. And she also comes with Moving Target to help her survive a little bit longer in case you decide to ignore what I told you and send her in full Leroy Jenkins style.
Leroy Jenkins!
Don't do that. Don't do that. Alright, next up we have Furio Montoya. She is going to be the melee powerhouse of your group. Her melee weapons will come with parry to help keep her alive a bit, as well as stun and disrupt, which again is just going to chew through automata and constructs. She also has Fatal on a crit and with a fight of 7 along with Prodigious out of the box, which will also be helpful when you're looking at a different posse trying to fill that last agent slot. Comes with Prodigious at base. So she's practically guaranteed to hit if she gets close enough. And if that weren't bad enough, she also has Quick Strike to bump that second stun up to lethal, as well as Stone Cold Killer for some additional fuel. So if she gets into combat, she's going to be hitting a lot. For the boys, we'll grant her an additional grit bonus if she's close to a male human model. Now remember, that works for both your models and your opponent's models. And Elusive will make it easier for her to duck out of melee when she wants to without having to worry about getting a hit. If you want to get the most out of Furio, my recommendation is to find the nearest unit of hands and charge her in. And just let her do her whole Zorro thing and whittle them down very quickly. Last up, we have a perennial favorite for a lot of the lawmen. That is Jedrick Powell. He is an excellent second boss if you're trying to fill some extra points with a different posse and just want someone cheap to throw in for a simple lawman faction posse. I think right now he's probably the cheapest underboss available. But he's also good at holding his own in a fight. His electro batons will look a bit weak because they only have a piercing of 0, but they do come with both parry and stun to help weaken your opponents and make taking them down quite a bit easier. Lasso will provide you with a good amount of crowd control, but where he's really going to shine is with his rail pistols. They have a piercing of -4 along with a rate of attack of 2 and shred on a crit. Now keep in mind they only have a range of 15 inches, so you're not going to be reaching across the board, but they will definitely make the difference. They will definitely make the difference when needed. He also has Form Up on Me, which will help him and a unit of hands get a Trail Finder move to get up the board into position a bit quicker. Yeah. Jedrick Powell, good guy. So now that we've gone over everything that comes in the box, what's the best way to use them in a tournament list? Before we go over that, we'll need to decide who, if anyone, is going to be in slot 6. If you do want to fill the Posse card completely, I'm going to recommend you look at one of the ladies from the Soul Hunters box, because each one of them will have something unique that will really synergize well with the rest of the Infernal Investigations. Catherine Holst is rather tanky thanks to her Xeno Shield, and she can also help keep Blackhoof 2020 in the fight longer with both repair and jury rig automata. Aaron Meltzer provides an additional source of treasure hunter if you decide to... Yes, Muffin, I'm getting to that. Okay? If you decide to go full Rambo with her and lose her, because that happens a lot if you're not paying attention. She also has Sikkim if you want to bring some canine gun dogs and some Gatling guns for a bit more long-range firepower. So Jocasta Tobin can also bring along some spirit apparitions, which honestly just feels kind of thematic for this list overall. And she can also help Mercury Jones block some key fire lanes with smoke grenades and controlled scatter. If you're looking for some additional melee support, then feel free to add Nakano Gozen, though she's not going to benefit a whole lot from being in the list, because she already has Prodigious and does not have Tin Man, so she won't get any grit bonus. If you want to learn a bit more about her, take a look at my Secret Service Posse video where I discussed exactly what Nakano can do. For this video, however, I'm actually going to leave slot 6 unfilled and recommend you choose a second Posse to bring along. And in my opinion, there are 3 great choices to look at: Armored Justice, Lynch Mob, and Forlorn Hope. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to recommend you bring the Union Force in with your Lawmen. Remember at the beginning of the video when I talked about how the Infernal Investigations are technically the Union's answer to all the weird things going on? Well, that's not just a little fluff blur, because it actually has an effect in game. The Infernal Investigations posse can join either a Lawman or a Union Force. So why should we pick Custer over anyone else? The major weak point of the Infernal Investigations posse is that everyone has to be really close together to take advantage of a lot of the synergies that they provide, like Tin Man, for example. And since the majority of Wild West Exodus games involve objectives that tend to be spread out pretty far, utilizing a lot of the synergies can be really difficult, so you're going to need someone to sit there and hold down the fort. But this can be alleviated by also bringing a few hands units who can sit there and hold the fort and keep the objectives under your control, while the rest of the Infernal Investigations runs forth and just demolishes everything full Avengers style. Custer is a great choice for this because he can get Muffin. I know I'm going to talk about Morgan Earp here in just a second. Give me some time, please. So Custer is a good choice because your few hands units will have a pool of 8 fortune to draw from to help keep them alive. The other 2 ones that I mentioned will function basically the same way, just with different flavors. With Armored Justice, you'll be able to bring along quite a few automata for some longer... that will also be able to take advantage of a longer Tin Man range. And with the Lynch Mob posse, you get Kingsley Stern providing free rerolls for Yeller checks, as well as some hard-hitting melee with his hammer, as well as another source of stun to help bring pesky units down quicker. You can also just bring Stern and an angry blob to distract your opponent, though that won't really fix the whole hold on to the objective issue that the Infernal Investigations posse has. For the example list I came up with for this video, I decided to go with the Armored Justice posse and 3 separate units of 1 single canine gun dog with a Gatling gun each, along with a single booby trap that will put me at 1,200 points on the dot. The overall strategy for this list is pretty simple. Run the gun dogs up, get them to the objectives, and stay there. Move Morgan Earp up the board so he can provide as much Tin Man as possible, along with a few medium range shots, and stay safe, and then simply have the rest of the Infernal Investigation posse push forward and do their thing. When you're doing this, make sure that you only use Helena and Mercury's movement options to provide support where it's needed. Do not try to jump them and create a second front in their back line. And probably the most important thing I can tell you guys to remember with the Infernal Investigations posse is to stay within Tin Man range. That will be the meat. That will be the difference between life and death for your force. Alright, and with that, another tactics video comes to a close, and my first new video format for 2020. I may do some more. I'm definitely going to do some more of these in the future as I work out, blocking and camera angles and lighting and all that stuff. So these will get better in the future, I promise. So So with that, that's going to be the end. That's going to be the end for me today. Stay tuned for more unboxings, tactics discussions, painting tutorials, battle reports, and a whole lot more. Take care, everyone. All right, here we go. It's okay. So, YouTube, this is Muffin, my daughter's cat. He likes to hang around me a lot and make a whole bunch of noise when I'm recording. See, right now he's decided to be a little bit camera shy and wants to run away. But that's because I'm calling him out in front of the entire internet for distracting me and making a bunch of noise. Okay. While I'm trying to record.